Bushido Shoshinshu, Code of the Samurai. Chapter 7. Right and Wrong. As long as it is realized and accepted that warriors must comprehend right and wrong, and strive to do right and avoid wrong, then the way of warriors is alive. Right and wrong mean good and evil. Right is good, wrong is evil. Ordinary people are not totally devoid of understanding of good and evil, right and wrong, but they find it boring and tiresome to act rightly and strive for goodness. Acting wrongly and behaving badly is fun and familiar, so they drift toward things that are wrong and bad, and it becomes tiresome for them to do right and foster good. The complete moron who cannot distinguish good and bad or right and wrong is not even worth talking about. Once you have determined something to be wrong and bad, to avoid demands and justice, and do what is wrong is not the attitude of the knight. That is the epitome of the immaturity of modern times. Its origin might be attributed to lack of endurance in people. Lack of endurance sounds alright, but you will find that it comes from cowardice. Therefore warriors consider it essential to always beware of wrong and pursue right. Now then, there are 3 ways of doing right. Suppose you are going somewhere with an acquaintance who has 100 ounces of gold, and wants to leave it at your house until returning, instead of taking the trouble to carry it with him. Suppose you take the gold and put it away where no one can find it. Now suppose your companion dies during the trip, perhaps from food poisoning or stroke. No one else knows he left gold at your house, and no one else knows you have it. Under these circumstances, if you have no thought but of sorrow for the tragedy, and you report the gold to the relatives of the deceased, sending it to them as soon as possible, then you can truly be said to have done right. Now suppose the man with the gold was just an acquaintance, not such a close friend. No one knows about the gold he left with you, so there will be no inquiries. You happen to be in tight circumstances at the moment, so this is a bit of luck. Why not just keep quiet about it? If you are ashamed to find such thoughts occurring to you, and so you change your mind and return the gold to the rightful heirs, you could be said to have done right out of a sense of shame. Now suppose someone in your household, maybe your wife, your children, or your servants, knows about the gold. Suppose you return the gold to the legitimate heirs out of shame for any designs anyone in your household might conceive, and out of fear for the legal consequences. Then you should be said to do right out of shame in relation to others. But what would you do if no one knew about it at all? Even in such a case, it could still hardly be said you were not a man who knows what is right and does it. The process of cultivating the practice of doing right begins with fear of being disrespected by those close to you, starting with your family and servants. Then advances to refraining from doing wrong and deliberately doing right for fear of incurring the shame of being censured and ridiculed by society at large. If you do this, it will naturally become habitual, so eventually you develop a mentality that prefers to follow what is right and disdains to do wrong. In the context of martial valor, furthermore, those who are born brave are not fazed by arrow and gunfire on the battlefield, however intense it may be. They make targets of their bodies, pinned between loyalty and duty. The courage of their forward marching spirit also shows physically, so it goes without saying that they are splendid in action. There are also those who are hesitant in danger, their hearts pounding and their knees trembling, yet they go ahead, along with the brave ones, realizing that their comrades will see if they alone do not go, determined not to expose themselves to ridicule later on. Although they are far inferior to the naturally brave ones, when they have gone through this time and again, fighting in battle after battle until they get used to it, eventually their minds settle and they become praiseworthy knights, strong and firm, not so different from those who are naturally brave. So when it comes to doing right and being courageous, there is nothing to go on but a sense of shame. If you do wrong, unconcerned that people will say it is wrong, or if you are cowardly without caring that people will laugh at you for spinelessness, there is nothing anyone can teach you. The end of chapter 7.